I'm running my fourth 100-mile race in about 3 weeks, which I'm starting to freak out about because, I mean, 100 miles is brutal, and I know what that feels like. And now that I'm pushing myself even more, I can only imagine how painful it's going to be. But here we are, and I want to give you three running workouts that I've used to finish my first 100-mile race, and in fact, kept doing them regularly as I get closer to other 100-mile races. So I originally figured this out and it just seemed to work and I've just stuck with it. I want to talk about three running workouts, and hopefully you can implement one of those, or it gives you confirmation that you're doing the right things if you are doing this. So very quickly, I want to go over my strength training routine and specifically leg day, because this is something I've been doing for a long time and I think it goes a long way. I know there's other philosophies, other people do different things. This is what has worked for me, and I won a 100-mile race a couple years ago, so I feel like I kind of know a little bit about what I'm doing. I'm not the greatest, but I definitely understand a couple things about it. So I do push-pull legs for the most part. Sometimes it changes depending on the point of training I'm in. But I do my push muscles one day, so that's chest, shoulders, triceps. I do pull, which is back and bis the other day, and then on a third workout I do in the week is legs, which I want to spend more time on this. But currently I'm doing core every single one of these workouts. So hanging leg raises one day, cable crunches one day, and then planks the other day. Now let's talk about the leg day specifically, because when I started getting into ultras, I didn't necessarily think about this a lot, but now I understand it more. Is like, you have to have the strength to endure this. It's obvious and right. You need to run and you need to do these long runs or whatever to get used to it, but you need the strength too. And so I really focus on a little bit more low rep, high weight, meaning not a lot of repetitions in a set, just higher weight. So maybe anywhere from like 5 to 12 ish, like reps. And I think that's worked for me really well. And this is my leg routine. This is what I do. Each one of these has one warm-up set, meaning I do a low amount of weight or no weight, and then three working sets. So each one of these, and it depends on the exercise, but the rep ranges are anywhere from 5 to 15, something like that. So anyways, first thing I do is I do squats. So I warm up with the bar, and then I do 3 sets of 10, depending on the weight, and if I increase it, maybe I end up doing 7 reps or whatever. But squats are really important. I do very deep squats, and I feel like that's just been very helpful for strength. I really try and focus on my quads with this, but obviously it works a ton of your, pretty much all your leg or legs. And so squats are very great, but then from there I go into quad extensions. So again, warm-up set, 3 working sets. I love quad extensions, really trying to control it as best as possible. And then I do hamstring curls. I personally like laying down, or actually, you know what? That's hard to say. I've really been enjoying seated hamstring curls, but for mostly up until this point, I was doing laying down hamstring curls. So find one that works for you. And then this is one of my favorite parts about my leg day. I think it is like super beneficial in ways that people don't, or I just don't hear people talk about it. But what I do is I do a superset before I do some sort of ab or core workout. But I do a superset where I do calf raises and then tibialis curls, which I'm going to explain both of these if you're not familiar with tibialis curls. That's one of the best exercises I've started doing in the gym. So calf raises, I do them either, you could do them standing, seated, or what I like to do, because I feel like I can control it more and feel it more, is I get in a seated leg press, and it's like I'm in a chair, and I go into the deep squat like I'm going to do a leg press. I fully extend out or push out so my legs are straight, and then I do calf raises or pushes that way. So like I'm seated and my toes are here and I'm doing like calf raises, right? So I really like this. I feel like I can control it more. I feel like I've always had a hard time feeling it in my calves, and this is the one that helps me feel it the most. And then after that, I go straight into tibialis curls. So I do one warm-up set, and then I do 3 sets of this where it's calf raises and then tibialis curls. Tibialis curls, I'm so glad I met this guy Mike in the gym. I call him Viking because he's massive. He's won like a strongman competition in Utah. He's incredible. And he likes basketball a lot. And he said as he gets older, his ankles feel weaker, but he started doing these and he can pretty much roll his ankle and it never really hurt. Like a lot of people, you just tweak it and then it snaps or something. He says this has been a big part of why he can just play basketball like he could when he was younger. And I believe this is a big part of why I can like roll my ankles on trails and it doesn't like immediately snap. Like, yeah, maybe I'm young, but this definitely has something to do with it. So I get kettlebells, and what I do is I sit on some sort of a box, and like I'm trying to how to picture this. I would just Google tibialis curls if you need more of a picture. But basically, I sit on like a box and I hang my legs off the side, and then I hook the kettlebells around my feet. So then I curl like this. So meaning the kettlebells here, I'm hanging off like part of my leg, and then here's my ankle. I'm doing this, and I'm getting the tibialis muscle. And so I'll do those at the same time, just like the calf raises, and then I'll rest and do, the next set. And I think that has been huge. One for shin splints, because I've not had shin splints in a long time. There's a lot I've done for shin splints, but that specifically is just working that tibialis muscle. And then, ankle stability and mobility I think is massive, especially in trail running, because you're way more likely to like roll your ankle, I think, in trail running. So that's my strength training routine, and then, well, I'll do some sort of core. So typically I think I do cable crunches right now on leg day. So that is probably one of the best things I've done. Super simple. Do it once a week. And if I'm doing speed work, what I'll do is I'll do speed workout in the a speed workout in the morning, and then I'll do leg day in the afternoon or evening, or maybe even right after this speed session, which isn't ideal, but sometimes I just have a lot going on in the day. So that's my strength training routine, and I've experimented with other things. I've just liked this and it seems to work for me, and the point is to increase in strength and increase in weight, but not at compromising form, because I don't want to compromise my form. So that's one of the best things I've ever done. Now, second workout that is tough, and I think that's why I have the grit that I do in some regard, and it's just, I don't know, it's just helped me just get better. So I don't know, okay, so let's explain it this way. If you're in ultra running, you probably are familiar with the back-to-back long run, which means you do, for example, 20 miles on Saturday, 15 miles on Sunday, right? Typically in marathon training or 5K training or whatever, you rest after your long runs. And so you run on Saturday, and Sunday's your rest day. Now, I don't think you have to do a back-to-back long run every single week, but I did a ton of these when I started getting into ultra running. So I would do like 25 miles on a Saturday, run 20 miles on a Sunday. And obviously I worked my way up, but there's a twist to this that I think has helped me do what I've done, like set a 50-mile or set a 100-mile course record. And what I would do is, because there's so much risk of injury and getting hurt if you're doing back-to-back long runs, because it's so much volume and you don't recover. And so typically you're slower, you take it really easy the next day. When I started doing my back-to-back long runs, there was a lot of them where I would run my second run, so the one on Sunday, the next day, I would run that one faster than Saturday. So there was times where I would do like an easy zone 2, 20-mile long run on Saturday, and then I would try and run 20 miles, 15 miles, even 10 miles at a faster average pace, or do some speed workout in the mix of that second run. And I think this did two things. One, I learned how to be fast on tired legs, but two, mentally, I knew I could take it. And there's just something about running 20 miles on Saturday, and then let's say running 10 miles on Sunday, 2-mile warm up, you run really hard for a 5K, 3 miles, and then you take the rest easy, even if you have to walk. There's something about doing speed work the next day after a long run that has just helped me mentally. And two, I think made me stronger, obviously, because I've gotten used to what it feels like to do, I don't know, an average of 10-minute miles on Saturday for a super long time, for several hours, and then run some like sub 7-minute miles the next day. Even if it's not for the full run, there's something about that has just helped me get better, helped me be stronger, helped me have more mental grit, and really just mental confidence that I can do it, that I can and do these hard things and run hard when my legs are broken and beat. And I just think it's super awesome. I don't know. There's something about it that's just great, because to me it's not conventional. It doesn't make sense. Like real quick, when I won that 100-mile race, the next day I went out and ran a half marathon, and I averaged like 8-minute miles, which was just insane to me. And I think the last mile I did under 7 minutes. And I remember just walking away like a new man, because not only had I won the 100-mile race, but two, I did decently fast half marathon the day after it, and there's something about that that gave me more confidence than ever. And maybe you're not running these 8-minute mile half marathons the day after 100, but the point is, if you can try and do a little bit of speed work the day after a long run, I think you just get some sort of confidence and you get stronger. So if you're not going to do that, you need to at least do back-to-back long runs, in my opinion, when it comes to training for ultras. But anyways, this is about the things I've done. And then the last thing, this you're probably gonna be like, Reese, this isn't a workout. It is a workout, and it deserves the praise of a workout, and it deserves more attention than it gets, and that is stretching, or really yoga. I'm a certified yoga teacher, and I have this philosophy that the majority of injuries, like 90% of injuries, boil down to either a lack of flexibility and mobility or a lack of strength. So, most of your injuries, what I'm saying is, most of them are not injuries. Now, I'm not talking about stress fractures, broken things, torn things, whatever, overuse injuries, sure. But what I'm talking about is, honestly, with some overuse injuries, I don't think it's an overuse. This is what I'm trying to get at, is the example I use is if my quad and IT band is extremely tight, it's pulling on my knee. Well, no shit, you have knee pain. Knee pain. Like, it just makes sense to me that you would feel that and have that pain because you have muscles and tendons or whatever pulling on things. And so when it comes to yoga, it's just going to reduce your risk of injury. Now, I know there's some runners out there that are like, stretching doesn't work for me, and I've heard you shouldn't stretch that intensely before runs. I know everyone has to find their own like thing, and it's a personal journey, and maybe stretching hurts some people more than others, but part of me feels like that they just haven't given it enough serious shake, and they haven't done it consistently for long enough, because I really do feel like you get better, and it strengthens your tendons and ligaments, especially yoga. Not just holding these static stretches, but these yoga flows. And then so I would YouTube videos about yoga, yoga classes. I would go to yoga classes, and don't overcomplicate it. You don't have to do an hour long. You could do 30 minutes. I think that goes a long way. I know one of the reasons why I've been able to do something like 10 marathons in 10 days, or my 933-day running streak, was because of stretching. So either implement a couple of yoga sessions per week, or if you want to really simplify it but make sure you always get in your stretching, is if you plan for an hour long run, I would plan for an hour and 10 minutes, and then stretch for the last 10 minutes, right? Or shave off half a mile of your run and stretch, because that way you stretch when you're warm, and at least for me, I don't get as tight or seize up as much because I do it right after my run, and that way I don't have to get myself into the mindset of exercising later. I am just running, immediately stretching before I go inside, or at least before I do anything on the inside, or before I drive home, and then I can move on with my day. You don't have to do a lot of crazy stretches, just very simple quad, hamstring, calf stretches. Goes such a long way, and I don't know, it just gets kind of frustrating, or I get sad when I see people deal with the same injuries over and over again. And I know, yeah, some people have tears and you're more likely to tear or whatever, or stress fractures. If you had the mobility and flexibility, your body wouldn't be as tight pulling on things, and if you had the strength, you're able to endure your runs. So we already talked about strength training though, so hopefully this is another reminder to stretch, and I'm disappointed if you don't. So I'm disappointed in myself when I don't stretch. It's just so important. So I hope that helps. Hopefully you can get something out of this to implement into your running, whether it's an ultra or you're just doing running yourself, or even some of these things have helped me with shorter races like marathons and 10Ks. So I hope you got something out of this, and I hope I get to see you in another video sometime soon. Peace.